Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Emory Security YouTube video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Anonymous on TryHackMe. So this is a medium severity box on TryHackMe, and there are again a few challenges just like the last one, Boiler CTF, which if you haven't watched it, be sure to click this little icon up here. I don't really know where it is, but there will be an icon up there for you to check out the other CTF that we just played a few days ago. This one again does have a few, so we're gonna just quickly go through it. This is a semi-easy box. It's on the easier side than the medium side, but it is classified on TryHackMe as a medium severity box. So we're gonna head on over to the clipboard, grab the IP address, and do an Nmap scan. So we'll do a sudo Nmap TAC, which is going to do 1 through 65535 on ports. We're going to do a TAC SC, TAC SV, TAC T4 for threads. Paste in our IP address, TAC VVV for very verbose, and we're going to let this quickly run and see if we get any ports. So it looks like there are a few ports available. So 21, 445, 139, and 22. We can go into FTP to start, which is on port 21. And we could try to do anonymous login by typing in anonymous, and then the password, we could type in anonymous again, and it looks like the password was successful. So we could do an ls here, and we see that there is a script section. So if we do an ls there are a few things that we can look at. So before we do this, let's quickly go and make a directory, and we'll just call this anonymous so we can download all these files. So again, we'll go into FTP. And while the Nmap scan is running, we are just going to take a look at what Anonymous has inside of the FTP. So again, we'll do a ls, and we'll go into scripts. We'll do a TAC ls, TAC la, just to make sure there's no hidden directories. We could do an mget star, and then we could do a y to all of these, which will simply download each one individually. So we're going to exit from there. And now we have a few files to look at. So we'll just quickly take a look at the clean.sh. And it looks like it cleans up something. It looks like it cleans up maybe the FTP folder or the temp files or whatever really is going on here. We could take a look at the remove files log. So let's just do a remove files log, and we see nothing deleted. Okay. And we'll also do, what's the last one called? To-do.txt. I really need to disable anonymous login. It's really not safe. Well, that explains it. So yes, it is not safe. And we also saw that SMB is also associated onto this box because of that 445. So we can also do an anonymous SMB, or also known as a null-bind attack. So we could do SMB client, we could do attack N, and then we could also do attack L, and we'll just do 4 slashes like so. Paste in the IP address /, and then we'll also just click enter. This may take a second, and it looks like that there is a pix directory. So let's head back over here, and we'll just type in pix, and we'll get rid of the attack L. And attack L, by the way, is to list things out. And we could do attack U with nothing in it. We could see if something like that works, and it looks like it does. So null bind attack is valid on this box. And we could do again another ls, and it looks like it's just a bunch of JPEG files. So we're just going to leave that alone for now. We could head on over to our Nmap scan and just take a look at some of the ports that it did find. And it looks like that it found the version of our FTP, which is VS FTPD 208 or later. So it didn't really determine the exact one, but it's just projecting or assuming that. It says that the scripts directory is writable, which is super interesting. What else does it say? It also says that we have SSH on port 22 open. And it looks like, again, all the SMB stuff, which we already know about. Okay, so because we know that the write permission is valid on our FTP, what we can do is we can go into our anonymous folder. And because we knew that there was a clean.sh, which again, if we cat it out, we could see that it's echoing something into this .log file. And then it's also running something completely different. but it seems to me more or less like there's most likely a cron job running in the Linux system, which is allowing the script to continuously run on schedule. So what we can do is we can go to IPA, we'll take our ton 0, and we'll head on over to a website called revshells.com. We'll paste in our IP address, which it looks like it already was there, and we could take any form of reverse shell. In this case, I'll just take this one. So we'll head back on over here and we'll just remove clean.sh and we'll do a nano clean.sh. We'll do a hashtag bang/bin/bash. This just tells Linux to take a look at bin bash first to execute it, and we will throw this payload into our script. So we'll do Control S, Control X to X out of the .sh file on nano, and we will go back into our FTP. So again, FTP, we'll take that, and that is not going to be our IP address. So we'll do FTP on the .60 address, and we'll do again Anonymous and then Anonymous. We'll go into our scripts directory, and we will do a put to clean.sh, and that's going to now overwrite the clean.sh file that is already on the FTP server. So if we do an lstack LA, we could see that it now is a lot less than what it was originally. We can go back here and do an ncmvp 4444, which is going to listen on port 4444, allowing us to retrieve any connections back to the server. So we can wait for this .sh file to load, and I will cut back when it does. And that didn't actually last as long as I thought it would be. I didn't even cut at this point. So we could do a who am I, and we can see that we are nameless1 as the user. But again, if you remember from a few episodes ago, I believe it was on the Mr. Robot box, this is called an unstable shell. And that essentially means that we cannot do Control C, because if we do Control C, it's going to completely erase what we've done, and we have to listen again on the port and retrieve a reverse shell once again. So what we have to do is make this a stabilized shell, and by doing so, we can do a Python 3 tax C. We can do an import pty pty.spawn bin bash, and then we can do a semicolon, something like that, and then we can click on enter, and now we could see that we do see the prompt. We're not fully done yet. We're going to do an export term equals xterm. We're going to do a Control Z. This is going to suspend our process, and we're going to do an stty raw tac echo semicolon fg, and this is going to foreground our original suspension of a process. So now if we do Control C, we can see that we're not getting x'd out of our shell, leading into a stabilized shell. So if we do an ls, we can see that this is where the user.txt is stored. We can copy it and paste it on into TryHackMe. So let's go down here, paste it on into TryHackMe, but it looks like we do need to fill out a few more things before we begin. So enumerate the machine, how many ports are open. Don't remember. I think there were 4 ports, if I'm not mistaken. There were. What service was running on port 21? That was FTP. Port 139 and 445 is SMB. The share on the computer was called Pix. And then we just found the user.txt. So the last thing we have to do is find the root.txt file. So let's head back on over here. And again, the first thing that you want to do whenever you're on a Linux box is to look for SUID bits, which I explained in the last video. Essentially, a SUID bit allows you to execute commands as whatever the owner's permission is. So if it's root, you can execute as root. If it's a different user, you can execute as that different user. You can do a find / and then user root perm /4000 2 with the greater than sign, and then we could do a dev null. And we can wait for this to load, and it looked like that there were just a ton here. So we could scroll down and see if there's anything of use. And sudo may be interesting, but we're going to take a look at this environment command here. So let's head back on over to GTFObins. And GTFObins is the ability to look at Unix binaries and see if there's a way to bypass misconfigurations leading to privilege escalations. So if we do env, we can see that it does have a SUID function. So clicking on it, we can see all we have to do is env bin sh and then tac-p. So let's head back on over here and paste it on in. When we click enter, we can see if we do a who am I, we are root. So we could do a cat root.txt, and we retrieve the final flag for this box. So let's paste it on in, and that's it. So that's all for this episode. I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you did find a different way to solve this box, also let me know in the comment section down below. Be sure to check out my previous video where we go through different kinds of techniques of how to privilege escalate and enumerate a different machine. But please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.